How do you go from zero to hero in the shortest amount of time? That's what I'm going to cover in this video.
Welcome to Advanced Construction Videos, where we show you how to tackle rocketry, building techniques, and more. On our website, we sell kits, motors, building supplies, and electronics. So come and learn, shop, build, and fly when you visit us at apogeerockets.com.
Hi, I'm Tim Van Milligan from Apogee Components. We get questions all the time from rocketeers like you asking, how do you go from your beginner level kit to getting your level 2 high power certification as quickly as possible? So that's kind of what I want to talk about today. Let me put this away. This was actually my level 2 rocket. It's not a kit, it's a scratch built. And I'll talk a little bit more about that. So when you're first starting out, we always recommend starting out with a simple, level 1 starter kit, like the Apogee Apprentice here or the Apogee Avion. It's going to show you the basics of rocketry, how to launch, how to put together a rocket, and what to expect. And that's the most important part, is these rockets take off so fast that you almost get whiplash watching them. And so you need to get yourself prepared mentally for that, because we don't want you to lose a rocket. That is going to be what is going to prevent you from getting to the high power as quickly as possible, is when you lose a rocket. Because then you can't fly it again. And when you lose it, you don't learn a lot. You learn a lot by actually flying rockets, and unfortunately by actually making mistakes. When you crash a rocket, or if a parachute doesn't deploy properly, you can learn something from it. And that's the whole process, is learn something so that you can move to the next level. So once you go from a small rocket, we would probably suggest something like the upload rocket as a next level up. This is a little bit bigger, as you can see. This has through-the-wall fins, has a nylon parachute, has a screw-on engine retainer back here on the back. So you're starting to learn, what it's going to take to go to that next level. So you want to fly, I don't want to give you a number, but the more times you can fly, the better your odds of moving up faster. So our upload is probably something, that you might want to consider. Then after that, we would go to something a little bit bigger, like maybe the Mako. Now this is a 29 millimeter diameter rocket. This one has plywood fins rather than basswood. Again, it's through the wall. But now we're moving up to rail buttons. So now we're going to be launching off of a launch rail. And a launch rail is a lot stiffer than a launch rod. See how whippy this is? When you fly from a rail, it's going to be nice and straight. It's solid, so you know exactly where your rocket's going to go. This rocket will take you from, an F motor up to G's and beyond, although we don't recommend it for a level 1. It's just going to go too high. And like I said, when you lose a rocket, it kind of sets you back. So we want you to be successful and to get to that level 1. So after you've flown this one a number of times, now we can start considering the level 1 certification. For that, we recommend our Zephyr. This kit right here is probably the most popular level 1 certification kit out there. It's rugged. It's got thick, heavy-duty plywood fins that aren't going to break on you. They go through the wall, and they also lock into the centering rings here in the back. Has a big parachute, big nose cone. It's heavier, and that's actually good for a level 1 certification rocket, because we don't want it to go high. So you want a big, heavier rocket that's nice and strong to get your level 1. It's a lot better than trying to find a little rocket that's cheap that goes out of sight, because now you got to repeat the process over again. So our Zephyr, we want you to get it on the first time, and this rocket has proved itself in battle. We've sold thousands of these things. So now you want, before you go to a level 2, again, keep flying the same rocket over and over so you get, mentally and, prepared for those bigger rockets. These big rockets, they are going to go a lot higher and faster. They got a lot of power to them, more than you might expect. And that's why we want you to have experience. If you want to shortcut the experience, I suggest start studying. You might want to get a book like the one that I wrote called Model Rocket Design and Construction. This is going to show you a lot of building techniques and design philosophy for designing your own rockets, but you're also going to learn about how to fly rockets as well. And then we highly recommend our software RockSim. This will allow you to run hundreds and thousands of simulations really quick to see how your rocket's going to perform, how it's going to react to the wind, where it's going to land. You get all that really quick in the software. Just play with it, run simulations, design some rockets, change some things on your rocket, see how that affects the flight. Because what RockSim and RockSim Pro have is what's called a launch visualizer, which allows you to actually see the rocket like you're actually standing right there watching the rocket take off. So once you've done a number of level 1 flights with something like the Zephyr, now you're ready to go to that level 2, to being the hero. So this was my level 2. Now a level 2, we do recommend just simple single deployment, not dual deployment. So you probably heard a lot of people talking about dual deployment, and that is where you have 2 parachutes in the rocket. The first one, which is usually down here, is a small one. And what happens is it allows the parachute or the rocket to descend very fast so that it's not going to drift. And then when it gets closer to the ground, there's a bigger parachute in this compartment that blows out, that brings the rocket down softly once it's close to the ground. But we don't recommend dual deployment on your actual certification flight. It's just another step to worry about. Just go for simplicity. Bigger is better for the certification flight. And by bigger, I mean heavier. Larger diameter, heavier, because they don't go as high. And we want you to get the rocket back so that you're successful in your level 2 certification. Also use 54 millimeter diameter motors on your level 2 rather than a 38. There's a lot of J motors that are 38, but the difference is the 54 millimeters have a longer burn time. That means they take off slower rather than going up so quick. And when it goes slower, it's less stress on the rocket, and you can see the rocket much easier in the sky, and so there's a greater chance of it getting back. So remember that little tip, use 54 rather than a 38. So that's the basics of how to go from 0 to hero as quickly as possible. It's the journey, not the destination, that matters. So remember that, you're going to have fun along the way. Don't get so caught up in trying to get that level 2 certification that you forget to have fun, because that's what it's all about. And we're here to help you. If Apogee components had been around when I was first starting, it wouldn't have took me 20 plus years or longer to get my level 2 certification. I would have done it a lot quicker. So if you have questions, don't be afraid to give us a call. We do answer our phone every day. You're not going to go to, an email system, telephone tag trying to get a hold of somebody. We answer our phone. We return our calls when you request that. Check out our website at www.apogeerocket.com. We have a new AI assistant on our website. We call him Snarky. He doesn't get all the answers right, but he's learning. And so we'd like you to teach him about rocketry by asking him questions. So down at the bottom of the screen, I think it's down here on our website, There's a little pop-up to ask questions. It goes to the chat bot first, but you can always ask for a human, and then a human will email you back if you don't get the answer that you think you should be getting. So again, check out our website, www.apogeerockets.com. My name again is Tim Van Milligan. May the winds be light, may the skies be blue, and may all your rockets fly straight and true.